All right. Good evening. I did not announce this one ahead of time, so I imagine people will trickle in and trickle out as they see fit. But what we want to do is continue with the tiny vampire from outer space that's Bitey escaping Umbra by me. This is book one, and back on May 16th, we started this book and I read chapter one. Tonight we will be reading chapter two, Aboard the Earthling Spaceship. So, you know what? I wonder if I could kind of get this camera to. I'm always perpetually itchy for some reason. Wonder if I could get this camera to read over my shoulder. What do you think? Can I get it to do it? Let's find out. So where's the book? The book is right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it close enough to the book. Well, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Sorry, folks. I am playing with the camera. I don't think anybody's in here yet anyway. No, nobody's here. All right. So we are looking at the floor. It's probably not very exciting. So there's the book we're going to be reading. See if I can get this out of the way of my office chair. All right. So there it is, folks. Chapter 2, right there. And nobody's here, but that's okay. I'm just going to start reading. When I get to the end of chapter 2, that'll be that. I suppose I could move my microphone over here a little bit. All right, so we are going to read chapter 2 of The Tiny Vampire from Outer Space. It's Bitey escaping Umbra. We did chapter 1 in the last live stream, so let's do chapter 2. Chapter 2, Aboard the Earthling Spaceship. He didn't. I'll read the last part of this one. You were right. It's like being put in a steam cleaner, Marcus said as he joined her. His clothes were on another chair. He opted to wear his boxers to bed. Do you usually sleep in a pile? He knew some vampires on Umbra slept in piles. Some preferred to sleep alone. Others, like himself, didn't mind either way. Pile of blankets, Shadow said. Marcus tucked the blankets around her, then rolled over until he was partially atop her. He didn't have to ask her if this position worked for her. The minute he was settled, she was asleep. Chapter 2, Aboard the Earthling Spaceship. He didn't move again until he heard the doors to the room slide open. Marcus looked down at Shadow. She was still asleep, which meant the humans had entered. Rather than jump out of the bed and confront them, he waited to see if they'd approach. Stowaways, one of the crew members said. Tired stowaways. They must be from Umbra, the second crew member said. He triggered his personal intercom. We found the water leak. It's stowaways. How many? 2. A large male, and I'm guessing he's protecting. The crew member took a step forward. a small female. They're both asleep. Sleeping? The captain asked. Out like a light, both of them, the crew member said. They must be from Umbra. We determined they spoke Latin on Umbra. We did. We used the doctor to translate, the crew member said. Get the doctor. Don't wake them until he's down there. They obviously left for a reason. Let's find out what that was without scaring them. Right. The crew member ended the communication, then contacted the doctor. These guys have fangs, don't they? The first crew member asked. Large fangs, the second crew member said, like a cat or dog. Did we ever figure out what those were for? No, and they didn't say, the crew member said, just as the doctor appeared in the doorway. Dr. Stevens, here's our stowaways. He motioned to the pile on the bed. They're pretty harmless asleep, Dr. Stevens said as he approached the bed. Magister, Marcus inhaled and turned his head to view the earthling. You're on the USS Galaxy Explorer, Dr. Stevens said in Latin. How did you get here? Marcus slid out of the bed. Don't wake her. He slid his pants on, then turned and tightened the blankets around Shadow. I'll be back in a minute. He kissed the side of her face. Is she yours? Dr. Stevens asked. She is. Marcus walked out of the room with the Earthlings. What are you doing here? Dr. Stevens asked. Leaving Umbra, Marcus said. The doctor nodded. How did you get on the ship? That's not hard with our abilities, Marcus said, but I'd prefer not to elaborate. It's a security concern if we ever return, Dr. Stevens said. It'll always be a security concern if you return to Umbra, Marcus said. But if you light the outside of your ship, it becomes less of a concern. Thank you, Dr. Stevens said. We are headed to Civitas, not Earth. So if Earth was your destination, Civitas is fine, Marcus said. We'll get off there. We don't mean to impose. We just couldn't stay on Umbra. What was your reason for leaving? He asked. Oh, there's no food and she's starving, Marcus said. What do you eat? Dr. Stevens asked. Marcus laughed. I doubt you want to know. Oh, yes, I do, because I want to know what to feed you, Dr. Stevens said. Blood, Marcus said. Dr. Stevens frowned. Like what flows through our veins? Exactly that, except your blood has some impurities that we do not tolerate well. So you're not food, Marcus said. We were led to believe that you were out of food and... Oh, we were not led to believe you were out of food and none of our crew was attacked, Stevens said. Most of Umbra believes your blood is poisonous, Marcus said. They're not so hungry that they'd want to test that theory. I see. I'll have to add that into my report. However, Civitas is 3 days from where we are currently, Stevens said. I doubt you'd like to go hungry for 3 days. So if you'd help me create something you can eat, we have synthesizers on board for food replication. Marcus nodded. Oh, well, we can try. Let's do that. Dr. Stevens turned toward the 2 crew members. Tell the captain I have this under control. They are no danger. They just want to ride to Civitas. Are you sure? The first crew member said. Positive, Stevens said. He waited until the crew members had left the floor before he spoke again. Will she be all right by herself? She tends to be a little nervous. It's best if we just leave her to sleep, Marcus said. Does she bite when she's nervous? I noticed your species has some pretty long fangs, Dr. Stevens said as they walked toward the elevator. She bites, Marcus said. 5 minutes later, they walked into the medical offices. What is the base composition of what you eat? Dr. Stevens asked. You want the molecular formula? Marcus asked. That would be best if you have it, Stevens said. Marcus rattled off the molecules. Dr. Stevens programmed them into the computer. Do you happen to know the ratios? Not by memory. I'm an engineer, not a medicus, Marcus said. But it's a lot like your blood. That helps. He adjusted the percentages of the components. Are there any specific chemicals or nutrients you need? Not that I recall, Marcus said. Dr. Stevens pressed the replicate button, a beaker filled with red fluid. He picked it up and handed it to Marcus. I can't drink that or I'd test it myself. Marcus took the beaker from him and sampled it. He shook his head. That's not right. She won't drink that. Did it seem chemically correct? Dr. Stevens asked. It's fine chemically, Marcus said, but it tastes terrible. Dr. Stevens sighed. And she's the hungry one? She is, Marcus said, just as the medical doors opened. Dr. Stevens turned his head to view Captain George. Captain, this is Marcus. Marcus speaks Latin. I heard, Captain George said. What are you working on? His wife is with him, Stevens said. We're trying to synthesize something she can eat. What's the alternative food source if you can't? Captain George asked. Us, Dr. Stevens said. Oh, where are they? Captain George asked. Or what are they? Captain George asked. Vampire, Marcus said. Shh, George said. He couldn't have said it worse if he'd said apex predator. He doesn't want to drain our blood, Stevens said. He just wants to take his female someplace safe. Marcus looked at Dr. Stevens in confusion. Curse word, he said. Stercor excrementum. Dr. Stevens then explained the rest of the conversation. Marcus laughed. I'm still learning your language. You don't taste good to us, so there's no worry that we might drain you. I would, however, like to feed my bonded wife, the Captain George asked. I think so, Dr. Stevens said. Either way, assume she's very important to him. He took the beaker back and set it on the counter. Let me adjust these settings. What about it did you not like? It's bitter, Marcus said. Stevens adjusted the red cell proteins and pressed the replicate button. The beaker filled with a red substance that was slightly darker than the first. Try that one, a little more protein for you. Marcus sampled it. He licked his fangs and took another larger drink. He waited a minute, then drained the beaker. I think he likes that one, Captain George said. Stevens replicated another one and handed it to Marcus. I think your bonded isn't the only one half-starved. Marcus drained the second beaker. Perhaps not, but that was enough for me. She'll need 3 times that much, and something with a straw. We'll call this a success, Captain George said. He turned to Marcus. I understand you wish to get off at Civitas. Please, Marcus said. We would be grateful for the transport. I don't like that you snuck aboard my ship, but I'm happy to take you to Civitas, George said. Consider yourselves guests of the USS Galaxy Explorer. You can stay in the room you've already chosen. Thank you, Marcus said. I'm going back to the command center. Doctor, they're in your capable hands. He started to walk away, then stopped. I don't have to tell you that if they bite anyone. I understand. Dr. Stevens handed Marcus a closed container with a straw that was 4 times the size of the beaker. How often does she need fed? Oh, about every 12 hours, Marcus said. She is a little younger than me. I will put this drink in the replicator under Umbra 1. Just ask the replicator to make it. He explained what the replicator looked like. Make Umbra 1, Marcus asked. Yes, Stephen said. Thank you. I think I can show myself back to my room. Marcus picked up Shadow's food and walked out of the medical offices. It was a short walk down the hall to the elevator, then another short walk to his and Shadow's procured room. He was thankful the Earthlings were cordial. He hadn't planned to be found. The good news was that they were allowed to stay, and there was satisfactory food. Marcus walked into the bedroom. Hey, Sleepy, are you hungry? Shadow stirred in the bed. Did you find food? It's a long story, but I brought you some food. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. He handed Shadow the container after she sat up. Shadow tasted it. It's good. She drained the bottle in record time. Is there more? Are you still hungry? Marcus asked. Shadow nodded. Marcus walked over to the replicator and ordered the Umbra 1. After a few seconds, another bottle appeared. He handed it to her. Shadow drained it and flopped back into the bed with a satisfied groan. I'm finally full. Marcus removed the container and threw it away. After removing his pants, he climbed into the bed. Shadow wrapped her arms around him. Are they mad we're here? I didn't get that sense, Marcus said. Surprised but not angry. They will take us to Shivitas. That's not Earth, Shadow said. I know, but it's better than Umbra, and it's their next stop, Marcus said. Hopefully, once we're in Shivitas, we can find a way to Earth. And if I have to, I can build us a ship. Do you know anyone on Shivitas? Shadow asked. No, the last Shivitas vampire I met was born on Umbra. And he wasn't even finished with his first century when he left, Marcus said. I thought we didn't have any ships, Shadow said. The transport came from Shivitas, Marcus said. That's how I know I can build one once we get there. Or repair one. He made himself comfortable in the bed. Where do you want to be? Shadow curled up against him and laid her head on his chest. Marcus pulled the blanket around her. There's no heartbeat. It doesn't matter, Shadow said. Marcus slid his hand up her back. You said your sire left after your first year? Yes, Shadow said. And you haven't gotten to do this in 152 years? He questioned. Shadow shrugged. Not regularly. He massaged her scalp. Me either. Are you poking my thigh? Shadow asked. Not on purpose, Marcus said. His motto had finally decided there was an attractive female laying on him. My other hand is here. He slid his hand from her lower back to her butt. I thought that was the blanket, Shadow said. Marcus chuckled. No, I'm holding your head and lower back. But. Marcus rubbed it gently. Your scent is changing. This is nice, Shadow said as she closed her eyes. Relaxing. It is. Marcus couldn't complain. He rubbed one butt cheek, then the other. Marcus was pretty certain he wasn't smelling relaxation because it was making his mutto grow. The realization didn't stop him from continuing to massage her lower back and butt. Even at more than 3,000 years old, X never got old, although that was probably due to the fact that it was few and far between. Marcus slid his hand lower. When Shadow trembled, he kissed the top of her head. He was slightly torn. She was obviously aroused, but not asking for more. Are you not asking me for more because I turned you down in the cargo container? This is fine, Shadow said. Marcus made a thoughtful sound as he slipped his hand between her butt cheeks. The anus was absolutely useless for vampires, but it did become another erogenous zone, almost as erotic as the But being that she was laying on him, he couldn't reach that part of her anatomy. So he rubbed her little The opening was tight as if no one had ever ventured there, and he doubted they had. It wasn't part of their bodies that they thought about. Marcus hadn't realized there was anything to it until he was over 1,000 years old. Now, this little vampire was squirming as if no one had ever touched it. Marcus dipped his hand lower, picking up some of her before resuming his intimate massage. When it started to open, he pushed the All right, I actually have to skip this part of the book. So we're going to say Shadow and Marcus had a good time. Shadow more than Marcus. And a little bit later, Marcus helped Shadow into the bathroom for another automatic shower. Soon they were both clean and deeply asleep on the bed after a rather satisfying encounter. Not today on the Sasquatch, maybe next time. Outside the room, two crew members stared at each other. What the bleep was that? Two wild animals, a crew member said. What are you doing outside the door? The captain asked. Lots of noise from inside there, the crew member said. The captain listened. I don't hear anything. There was yelling and growling like wild animals. Might be Umbra mating. The captain shrugged. We don't know a lot about them, but I can tell you, those two are married, although I think they call it bonding. Might mean mated for life, a crew member said. Either way, leave them be. They're guests, the captain said. Some of the crew thinks they're vampires. Crush that rumor, the captain said. They don't eat our type of food, but that doesn't make them vampires. Anyway, the doctor is seeing to their care as long as they're on board, and I don't want to hear another word about their behaviors. We don't know what's normal for them. Marcus opened his eyes several hours later. He felt well rested. Shadow was deeply asleep. It angered him, but not because she was asleep. It was that she was exhausted. He hated the sires that abandoned their children before they were 200. And this one was a prime example of why. She had obviously spent the last 150 years fending for herself, not eating properly, and not sleeping because she didn't feel safe. It explained why he'd seen 6 different facets of her personality in half a day. Angry, bitey, nervous, hungry, tired, aroused. He had a feeling there was what he was seeing now was the real one. Cuddly, and he was still torn. Despite intimately satisfying her late last night, he still couldn't decide whether she needed a sire or a mate. Marcus decided to delay his exiting of the bed. Shadow had a hold of his left shoulder and right hand, and he wasn't in the mood to wake her up before she was ready, although he did want to explore more of this ship. An hour later, Shadow stretched and inhaled before sitting up and examining what was in her hand. It was Marcus's hand. She let go of it. I thought that was a blanket. Marcus shook his head. Not a blanket. How do you feel? Awake, Shadow said. Hungry? No. She climbed off Marcus and out of the bed. Whatever they're feeding us, it works well. I had it designed for you, Marcus said as he stood from the bed. How? Shadow grabbed her dress and slid it over her head. Marcus contemplated on how best to explain the process to her. It was unlikely that she understood cells and molecules. A very complex recipe that I had them input into the food synthesizers that contains all the nutrients that you need to feel well fed. Is it not real? Shadow asked. It's real. It just doesn't come from anything living, Marcus said. He slid on his pants, then his shirt. Anyway, I thought we might explore the ship, as far as they'll let us anyway. Oh, we can do that, Shadow said. Marcus walked out of the room and waited for Shadow. Then he walked down the hall to the elevator. Upon stepping inside, he looked at the walls. The lack of buttons is confusing. Please state where you want to go. Shadow jumped and grabbed Marcus. Impressive, Marcus said as he wrapped an arm around her shoulders. It's just the computer system. He contemplated the word he wanted. Recreatio. Recreation. Deck 5, the computer said. Oh, not important. Thought that might be work. It's not. All right. So they're in the elevator. The computer is going to take them to deck 5. Shadow looked at Marcus as the elevator moved. How did you do that? I got lucky. My word was close enough to theirs, Marcus said. Shadow stepped off the elevator with Marcus when the doors opened. Now what? Not sure, Marcus said. Let's see what's here. He looked through the windows of the doors, stopping when one of them opened and a woman stepped out. Oh, you must be the Umbra, she said. I'm Lieutenant Connor. Yes, Marcus said in her language. This is Shadow. I am Marcus. You speak? She asked. Latin, according to your medicus, Marcus said. Connor thought for a moment on her old Latin classes. What are you looking for? Marcus chuckled. Her Latin was terrible, but he understood it better than their language. Recreatio and this way, she motioned. How is it that you are able to understand some of our language? I'm 100 times older than you, Marcus said. I've heard a lot of languages. Does she understand? Connor asked. Marcus looked down at Shadow and explained the conversation. Shadow shook her head. She does not, Marcus said. We spoke Latin once on Earth, but it's considered a dead language. Some of us learn it for educational purposes, but no civilization speaks it, Connor said. Interesting, Marcus said. He had to stop himself from laughing. He didn't want to explain why that was funny, but the irony was not lost on him. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Umbra had beating hearts. Those that had beating hearts on Umbra now were considered food. The rest were undead and spoke Latin. I'm afraid not. This has to be a little bit family friendly. But you can get the book on Amazon and read it in detail. Connor opened a door. This is the main recreational area. There's a gym, a bar. A bar? Marcus asked. Liquor, humor, she said. Ah, thank you, Marcus said. Feel free to explore it, Connor said. Marcus led Shadow through the doors. This is impressive, Shadow said. I don't think I can build something like this, but I might try, Marcus said as they walked into the gym. Shadow jumped and grabbed a bar. Can you climb up on that? Marcus asked. Shadow pulled herself up. Climb how? Stand on it, Marcus said. Shadow hefted herself onto the bar. She put one foot on it, then the other. I don't know if I can stand on it. It's really narrow. We'll try it, Marcus said. Shadow attempted to stand up, then screamed as she lost her balance. Marcus jumped and caught her out of the air. It's all right. Your balance needs work. That's what I was checking. He set her on her feet. Can you do it? Shadow asked. Marcus gripped the bar and pulled herself up. He hefted himself atop the bar and stood on it. I can. That's not fair, Shadow said. Come up here and try again, Marcus said. We'll fall, Shadow said, and I'll catch you. If you happen to hit the floor, you'll be stunned out for a few seconds. It's not going to hurt you, Marcus said. Are you sure? Shadow asked. Positive, Marcus said. Shadow jumped and grabbed the bar. Marcus took a step to the side and gave Shadow more room. Shadow hefted herself onto the bar. It took her a few minutes to get both of her feet onto the bar. Give me your hand, Marcus said. When she did, he took it and pulled her up. Now you're standing on it. He held her hand tighter. Now let's jump. Shadow jumped with Marcus. Marcus landed and stabilized Shadow. He showed her a few more skills before realizing they were gathering an audience. Sorry to interrupt, Connor said, but you two are amazing. Thank you. I was just showing her a few skills, Marcus said. Where did you learn all that? Just over the years, Marcus said. You said there was an establishment where we could get some drinks? Of course, this way. Marcus took Shadow's hand and followed the woman. They walked through another door into a room that reminded Marcus of a tavern. He sat down at the bar next to Shadow and ordered them both a whiskey. Shadow picked up her glass and tasted it. We can drink it? We can, Marcus said. Shadow drained the glass and set it on the counter in front of them. The bartender refilled it. Shadow drained the next glass and 3 more until Marcus told her it was time for them to go back to their room. She knew why. They were becoming a spectacle for the Earthlings. Did you see everything you wanted to see? Shadow asked as they walked back to their room. I saw enough, Marcus said. I was trying to get ideas for the ship I may need to build. They're more advanced than we are. Less buttons, more screens. I think I could emulate some of it. I just wish I knew what type of fuel they used. I overheard that. They said something. Oh, I think the word was nuclear, Shadow said. Nuclear. Marcus contemplated. Nuclei. He shook his head. We disregarded that fuel source almost immediately upon discovery. It's highly unstable. If it gets hot, it explodes. Isn't that every fuel source? Shadow asked. Yes, Marcus said. But if that fuel source is mishandled, it doesn't just destroy the building. It destroys everything within 100 miles. What else is there? Shadow asked. Marcus opened their room door and led her inside. Some liquid fuels. I was working on a lighter weight one when I left. I suppose I'll continue that research when we get to Civitas. I brought all of my notes. Shadow walked over to the food replicator. What's the food? Umbra 1, Marcus said. Make Umbra 1. Shadow squealed when the bottle appeared. She pulled it off the tray and took a large drink. Marcus laughed. He sat down and took off his shoes. You want to get me one of those? Shadow ordered an Umbra 1 for Marcus. All ready. She picked it up and handed it to him. Thank you. Marcus took a long drink. They spent the rest of the night talking and drinking Umbra 1s and whiskey. More whiskey than blood as it got later. Marcus had wanted to know more about her job on Umbra, and he wasn't necessarily surprised when she admitted that her job involved torture. She didn't look the part, but he was more than certain that's why she was hired for it. If her cuteness didn't get the information, her fangs certainly would. Just to be certain, he had her fully extend her fangs. She had the 6-inch reach of a vampire 10 times her age. It caused Marcus to wonder just who her sire was. But probing didn't get him anywhere. She was adamant that she didn't want him to know. Unfortunately, the most common reasons that a vampire never mentioned their sire was either they were one of the first or They were one of the oldest elders. It was the same reason Marcus never mentioned his true age. It was intimidating. All right, folks, that is the end of chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time, hopefully, probably next week, maybe later this weekend, but definitely next week, we'll do chapter 3 when they land on Civitas. All right, I don't see any more questions, so we'll just wrap up this live stream. And I will see you again later. Hope you all have a fantastic evening.